Hey everybody, welcome to the Black Diamond Call for Monday, the 22nd of May. John Lavinia here with you as I am each and every week on Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern here on dalivecall.com. If you are listening live, welcome. So glad to have you here. And if you are listening on the recorded podcast, we are glad that you enjoy those recordings as well. This is going to be a fun session tonight. We're going to be talking about some cool stuff as it relates to the actual reality of what's possible here for you when you're successful in your online business efforts. We're going to be talking about that. I don't have any specific announcements for you tonight except for a reminder that we are going to be having our peak event in about a week and a half or so. That's going to be June 1st through 6th in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. Yes, that's where we're going. So I'm excited. I've never been to the Dominican Republic before. Saw pictures, beautiful beach, beautiful resort, the best on the island. Knowing Michael Force, it would be nothing less than that. This guy, for anybody who hasn't met Michael Force yet, this guy he goes all out. You know, he does not half measure anything. So all of our peak attendees are in for a treat, and I am looking forward to seeing you there. And that is my only announcement for right now. So give my typical preamble here in the Black Diamond Call. What we talk about on this call is a little different in the way that it is more just based on how we got to the top, more of our personal experience. It's also a longer format call for all of our new members who've been tuning into the wake-up call. That's our brief format call. This is a longer format call where we get to talk about different concepts at length that have brought us to the success that we want. And I certainly hope that you take these ideas, whether it's from myself or from my guest speakers or whomever, you take these ideas and see how they apply into your life and into your business. It's one thing to, sit here and listen and to hopefully, feel like you've gained some enlightenment or something, or you've been entertained. That's all very nice. But my truth doesn't help you. Your truth helps you. So see how this stuff works in your life, in your business, in your world. And as usual, if I say anything that offends you, you'll get over it. That's just how we roll. There's our disclaimers for the Black Diamond Call. And tonight, we are going to be talking with at least one other guy right here who's in the hotel room with me right now. For those of you who've been joining us on the wake-up calls, I've been doing some lifestyle stuff in an undisclosed location, which I will disclose to you here in a second. And where's the other guy? Is the other guy coming?
He's not coming. He's tied up right now.
Uh-oh. The other guy's tied up right now. He's helping some of our digital altitude students, no doubt. But I do have here with me our favorite guy from the Wednesday wake-up calls, Mr. Pierre Baudon.
Hey. What an introduction.
Yeah. How you doing, Pierre?
Doing great, man.
Yeah. So we're going to tell everybody where we've been. One of the things that we do as entrepreneurs, one of the things we can do, once we get into momentum, once we start creating the income that we are originally, we got started in business because we wanted to make money. Well, once we started making some money, we get some options in our life. We get to do some stuff that isn't necessarily, something that people who have to punch a clock every day or sit in a cubicle every day. It's not necessarily things that are as accessible to other people. Yes, with increased financial ability, you get increased activity opportunities. Yes, you get increased opportunities in your life. Now, let me start by saying this. I've been when I worked a job, all those years ago, I was one of those people who I really didn't like my job. Now, I know a lot of you could probably sympathize with that, especially our new members who came here explicitly with an idea of, I want to replace and exceed my income from my job. I want that job-free lifestyle. I want the entrepreneurial lifestyle, which, sometimes, especially at the outset, can be a lot of work, more work than your job, right? So think about this. I got started. It was not an effortless victory. My goodness, my first 6 months, I didn't even look up. I just worked and worked and worked. So yes, work is a good thing. So job-free or quote, job-free, unquote, does not necessarily mean work-free. In fact, quite the opposite. Now, if you're the person who does not need a manager hovering over you, telling you what to do, when to show up, and all this stuff, well, then you're qualified to be an entrepreneur. In fact, I can tell you, I've never needed to be managed. I've had a great deal of self-discipline. Pierre can attest to that.
Yes, I would have to contest that, and attest that John is probably the most disciplined. I can't even begin to find all of the words. The guy is a machine, is what he is. Early morning. I mean, and should we even share what we've been doing here?
Well, yeah. This is sort of the preamble. Okay, so the preamble is so we have we've achieved a certain degree of opportunity as it relates to lifestyle. You know what? I'm going to take this over to the couch so we can both sit there on the couch here. Hold on, let's do that. Here we go. So we've both taken up some opportunities, and we've gained some opportunities because we've been vigilant and I would say deliberate and diligent even. You know, that's a word that I've brought up a time or two before, and this lifts straight up. There we go. Yeah, we're just discovering how the hotel furniture works here. So yeah, so we've been deliberate and we've been diligent in our work, and that has produced some opportunities, right? So to now do things that we like. Now, any of you who I personally have as a student, right, if I'm your senior coach or scale-up coach or whatever my title is, head janitor or something, I can't remember, but if that's the case, then you've probably read my bio. I know some of you have read my first book, Integrity is Everything. So you know that I do things other than work. So here's where we're going with this, right? Yes, we're diligent in our work. Yes, we enjoy our work. I enjoy it a lot more than what I had to do to earn a living, at a job. My goodness, I've often said my worst day as an entrepreneur is still better than my best day ever working a job. But that being said, that opens up once we've gotten ourselves into some momentum, and we've gone through our learning curve, and we've started to create this income, which is originally why anybody gets started in business, right? Because you're looking for profitability, and of course, the time freedom that can come with that. Again, not necessarily at the outset. I remember, Pierre, people talking to me about balance in life, which I'm still working on that. I heard somebody jokingly say once, yeah, balance is that split second when I pass over from one extreme to the other. And yeah, and I can kind of relate to that. So I'm not going to give you any advice on balance, but I am going to give you, I suppose, some ideas of what balance could look like when you've opened up opportunities. So anyway, those of you who are already familiar with me, sorry, I got a little bit of cough. We've been in some dusty environments lately. We are out.
That puts it mildly.
Yeah, dusty environments. We have been doing one of my favorite things, if you know what I like. One of the things I enjoy besides, snowboarding and riding my Harley and listening to loud music is tactical training. There's that word.
There's the word.
Tactical.
Tactical.
Yeah. Yeah. So for anybody who's into the shooting sports, you know about tactical. Everything's tactical. In fact, if you could just add the word tactical to any product, it goes up in price. In fact, this is a tactical income opportunity that we have here. So
the call was very tactical.
Yeah, it's tactical. So here we are. We're in the middle of the desert at the biggest firearms training academy in the United States. And me and Pierre and our buddy Ty Coughlin, who's another senior coach here, we just had a blast, literally, actually thousands of blasts.
That's putting it mildly.
Yeah, for the past 4 days, just doing our thing, shooting guns in the desert. God bless America and all that. And this is something that, which by the way, it's not an inexpensive pastime.
No, it's not.
Right. I mean, we got shopping lists now. After, because there's always something more to buy. For anyone who's an enthusiast of this sort of stuff, that there's no shortage of stuff you can buy. It's not like, I think golfers have it easy. You buy a set of clubs, you're done, right? Is that it? Maybe you need a glove. You don't even need two gloves.
No, there's always more to golf.
Okay.
Yeah, I love playing golf.
Okay. Well, then Pierre, you can educate us about golf. I don't know if you're going to get me to the Golf Institute, but we were launching projectiles of a different nature, and my goodness, awesome. And not to mention just I'm talking about lifestyle and opening up opportunities for yourself because it's something that is valid. This is why I'm bringing this up for everybody here. It's valid for you to be able to do what you want. That is a valid thing.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you got to understand it's not something that you need to be denied, okay, because you somehow don't qualify. In fact, I heard somebody say once that your innermost desire, you could actually say that's God's will for you, okay, because otherwise you wouldn't have that desire. That's kind of like your part of your purpose in life is to go and experience life, to have the experience. And so, without getting, into like too mystical or into religion or anything, I embrace that, Pierre. I look at it like I've got some opportunities, things that I've got a natural leaning or affinity for, and for me to deny myself that or to not do the work necessary for me to fulfill those intentions, I'm shortchanging myself, and I'm also not setting a good example for others, right? You think about this, we're in the home business world here. There are a lot of people who want to live the lifestyle, whether you like snowboarding or golf or, swimming with dolphins off the beaches of Maui or whatever, like we just did that. We were in Maui just a couple months ago on our Ascend conference. You see, this is the lifestyle. Yes. Absolutely. That is valid, my friends, and I think for people who are very serious, like me, very serious, and certainly there's a serious aspect to shooting guns in the desert, running around with, deadly weapons, but still, there's a serious nature to stuff, but there also has to be the fun factor. There has to be some enjoyment for you, and I can tell you, my friends, a bit of flippancy, right, a bit of carefreeness, a bit of non-attachment, yes, in your work. This is a powerful thing, and it communicates powerfully, and it sets a good example to people. Because here's the thing, and I'm going to actually turn it over to Pierre so you can get a word or two in. When people refuse to get started in a home-based business, they'll typically, give you some reasons why, I got these excuses, I got circumstances, I got problems, I don't have money, my spouse won't allow me, lots of stories about it. Lots of stories about it. But the real reason quite often is they can't see themselves as someone who is willing to do what you are demonstrating that has to be done for you to succeed in whatever business. This is not specific to what we do here. Okay, but you think about it, a lot of people are walking around in home-based business environments and opportunities, and arduous, hard work. Diligence does not mean arduous. Those words mean different things. In fact, the word diligence comes from the Latin root word diligere, which means to take delight in. So can you demonstrate how you're taking delight in not only your business, but also your lifestyle, right? Look at guys like Jason Stone. Here's a guy who's got an Instagram channel. He's posting pictures of Lamborghinis and stuff. Is that attractive? Sure. That's attractive to his ideal target market. Okay. Who could I attract? Well, Pierre and I and Ty at this point, I suppose, in our marketing, we got some pictures, by the way. I think we'll post them on Facebook or whatever, but or Instagram. I got to learn Instagram. I got to hang out with Jason Stone more. But
there you go.
Yeah, this is something. Do you think we would attract people who like the outdoors or the tactical lifestyle and all this stuff?
There's that word.
Yeah, tactical. So yeah, certainly. Oh, there's somebody who like, man, I wish I could take a week off, and not that we've been off, right? We're talking to you guys. We're talking to students the whole time we're here. We're doing the business, and yeah, certainly. We can massage our schedule to fit this stuff in, right? So this is called flexibility. This is what so many people want. Pierre, when I ask people, what do you want, right? Well, I want that time freedom, right? Or I want the job-free lifestyle. I want to fire my boss, right? I want to double my income. I want to triple my income. That's all possible here. And the more you can demonstrate that without the serious, arduous overtone of, oh, I really need the sale, right? Or this is really tough. Like the number one, I really will stop talking here in a second. The number one response I get from people when I ask them, what did you like most about Digital Altitude? You could have joined 10 million different businesses. You chose this. Why? Number one response is, well, we get all this leverage with the coaches. It's support. It's assistance with a live person. I actually get to talk to somebody like you, John, who's already made millions doing this kind of stuff, and I get to do that before I ever spent a penny on marketing or whatever. It's spectacular. Yes, it's that support from others who have been there and who have done it. Can you be that? Even if you're not wearing a coach hat right now, you don't have to wear a coach hat, but can you be that like Jason Stone, or to whatever degree, you can be that based on where you're at in your life right now. It's about actually enjoying the process. You did not sign up for another miserable job that tells you, no, you can't go hang out in the desert for 5 days with your buddies. No, you got to be here and punch a clock. Well, guess what? I can, and I just did, and it's a beautiful thing. So whatever you're into, know that you deserve that. And to the degree that you do the diligent work to put yourself in a position to earn that, you are going to have that experience. Unapologetically, this is your life, and the clock's ticking. Pierre, there's my preamble, and now you.
The preamble.
Yeah.
Well, this is tactical preamble.
That was tactical.
Yes. But John, and it's so amazing to be able to be out here in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
See, for me, one of the many things that we share and really enjoy in common, snowboarding, right? Snowboarding, you mentioned earlier, one of my passions. This, I have to confess in front of everyone that I've never done this sort of thing before, never in my life. In fact, I was a little bit intimidated, and I shared with you before we did one of those tactical, house clearing exercises.
But yeah, Pierre was clearing houses with live ammo. It was awesome.
And it was unbelievable. And see, this was really, for me, intimidating, very uncomfortable, but I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It was exhilarating. It was exciting. It was challenging, and it was one of those things that I wanted to be able to successfully complete. I wanted to take on that challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. I think if you're afraid and you don't act, and it's probably the biggest mistake of your life, right? If it's something that you really want to be able to do and successfully do, and you're just too afraid to ever do it, you've already lost the battle. Mm. Just like this business.
That's a different angle. Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff. Yeah, that's maybe something intimidating. So business is intimidating for people.
Yeah.
And, people fear different things that hold them back. I'm not even going to attempt. And, and some people have, preconceived notions about what this is or that is. Like snowboarding, for example. Oh, I heard somebody broke their neck.
No.
Yeah. Oh, home-based business. I know Uncle Bob, he lost money in that home business deal.
But, my dad was, driving a truck his whole life and died in an accident, and he was broke his whole life. And, things happen too, right? I mean, you could live a life of misery because you're afraid, and those types of tragic things happen as well. Life is far too short to live afraid, to be afraid, and to live a life of just getting by because it's what you know. Mm-hmm. Isn't it? That's just tragic to me. Life is far too short for that. And we can all achieve so many great things, but you have to put yourself out there. You have to be willing to really do it, to make it happen, right? To be, there it is again, be, do, have. Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so to take this on, these 5 days, these last 5 days have been probably one of the best experiences I've ever done. And I'm so glad that I was able to do this, and that the three of us were able to come out here and to take this on. It's been an incredible experience. But how in the world can you possibly do those types of experiences and live those things if you're stuck at a job working for someone else?
Mm. Well, there's certainly people who we got to meet. There were hundreds of people doing the training, and some of them, this is like a once-in-a-lifetime thing for them. They're going to come out, and it's like they're going to a resort or something. Okay, well, a resort is rolling around in dirt and be filthy at the end of every day in 96-degree desert heat. But so it's a different kind of a resort experience. But still, it was, and it is for people, something that they have to really, it's a very rare sort of thing. And so, some people just aren't that into it. I mean, obviously, we can get into all kinds of stuff. Like, for example, you were mentioning golf, right? Some people, they're upgrading their golf clubs. Me, I bought a set of golf clubs once, and I wound up selling them for like $50. I was like, I'm just not that interested. I'm also not that masochistic. Like you can never win. Golf is a game where you're always attempting to beat your best. I don't know. Are you a good golfer?
No, I get a lot of golfing for my money, but I enjoy it a great deal.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So yeah.
And I'm seeing comments here like, taking steps, right? And somebody mentioned the book, The Slight Edge. Mm-hmm. Excellent book. The Kaizen type of methodology, right? It's It's just doing little things a little bit better every day, taking that step every day. And being uncomfortable is a good thing. And that's one of the things I'm taking away from these last several days being out here, is I was uncomfortable out there, not only in the blazing heat, but it wasn't comfortable handling some of this equipment. It was new to me. But I'm glad to say that I've taken it on. I'm able to, conquer the fear and that intimidation, and I'm excited about it because it's something I know I'm going to continue to do because I really enjoyed it, that exhilaration.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny too, right? When as entrepreneurs, when you feel that anxiety, you feel that nervous energy, that excitement, it's almost addicting, right? Isn't it? And in the beginning, when you have that employee mindset, you're terrified, and if you never take that step, if you never take that leap, well, game over. It'll never happen. And you really have to not only take those little steps, and sometimes it is a big leap. Sometimes it really does take you to be so uncomfortable that you're willing to do anything to make it happen. When your back is against the wall, and you have no other option, you're going to come out swinging. See, and that's that whole thing about being too comfortable, right? That Good to Great book by Jim Collins. Great book. Good is the enemy of great. And if you're at a job right now and it's good enough, and it's okay, and you're getting by, and you're just, how on earth is it going to be great for you? How on earth are you going to ever have a great life if you just live that mediocre, just getting by kind of zone?
What we're talking about is standards. So what are your standards for your lifestyle, for your business?
And taking us full circle back to standards, John has the highest level of standards I've ever seen. The guy is a machine, an absolute machine.
Well, that's the thing, is that we will settle down into a comfort level based on our standards, okay? And we can even relate it to this 4-day training that we just went through, where even the instructor was like, do you think we're here to make you good or better or something? No, we're here to make you perfect, right? So this is like what Pierre just experienced. I've done it several times because I've been into it for a while, but what he just experienced was some of the highest level training you can get, in terms of this practice, yeah. And so what we're looking at here is you as an entrepreneur going on a mission. In other words, raising your standards to the point where you will not be denied. You refuse to be denied. You will demand of life, not request. You will demand of life.
That's it.
A higher standard. This is very powerful when you do this, because now it's just like, and we can relate it to marketing. Do you guys realize that there are people working right now, anyone who's been through step 13 in the Aspire system knows that we've got a staff, you see, and these are people who are really good at some things, like copywriting, right? We got people that are really good at that.
Amazing.
Video stuff and web design and technology. These are people that are really good at what they do. Guys like Dallas, who's a head of marketing. Anyway, there are people right now who are looking at statistics and trying to figure out how they can beat the best statistics that we've had so far. So you've got this website, right? So anyone who's actively marketing, you've got several funnels, right? These are websites that will capture leads and, demonstrate, here's what we're doing, and educate the prospect and route them on to perhaps a trial membership and what have you. Well, anyway, there are several of those that have already been released and more on the way. Why do you think there are several of those? Because Michael and the staff, they look at the stats, they see whatever's working the best, and then they try and beat it. It's called beating the control. Beating the control. It's never done, right? If this campaign brings a 50% conversion, well, we got to get 51 now. We got to beat it. It's called beating the control. So in sales talk, the control is whatever the best converting campaign is. Okay, so if you're new here, that's what beating the control means. So you're never done. I suppose if there was any such thing that closed 100% of the sales of every person who ever visited it, well then I guess you'd be done. Okay, but that's never happened, not at least on this planet. I don't know, maybe some other planets, but I haven't been there. So So on this planet anyway, you're always looking to beat your best, right? And this is something that comes with diligence. These people love doing this stuff. Like Travis, he loves writing copy and he's good at it.
Yeah.
He's really good. And so Travis, go ahead and write the copy. Let's beat whatever you wrote yesterday. Do better, right? And if we weren't taking delight, if we weren't diligent in our work, we would rest on our laurels with whatever standards we settled for. This is a beautiful thing when we get it. What we're really talking about is raising our necessity level. And I know I've talked about this, Pierre. I've talked about this with some of my students who are looking to reach goals that are exponentially higher than the income that they're making at their jobs. We're not talking about incremental increases. We're talking about doubling, tripling, quadrupling, right? So we've got to have a why for that. We've got to have a why. It cannot be just to pay off your debts or to survive a little more comfortably, or as great as it is to help other people, just to, help other people, to be a philanthropist or something. That comes, right? That comes. You can certainly do philanthropy. Okay. However, there's got to be something in it for you, unapologetically. Some lifestyle change, some lifestyle improvement, which is worthy of your time and worthy of you demanding of life that you actually make this exponential increase. Okay, it's nothing that you will be denied anymore. This is something that you demand. So get that, everybody. This is not a we're not bargaining or negotiating with life. We're demanding of life, and then we are right, and then we are accepting the responsibility for making it happen. So I'm about to pass it over to you.
Yeah.
Pierre?
Very true. No, you have to, you've said it really well. You have to demand that you what you want. You have to demand more out of life. But in order to get more out of life, you have to be willing to do things that you've never done. See, it's such a, it can be a difficult thing. Habits can be tough to break. And if you're not willing to do things differently, if you're not willing to do what other successful entrepreneurs are doing, how on earth can you ever be successful? You really have to just make that decision and go for it. You have to make those changes. You have to do what other successful entrepreneurs are doing, then you'll have those similar results. And live life to the fullest. Have those choices. See, isn't that interesting? When you reach that point where money isn't, it's still very important, but it's not just for survival, not just to pay the bills. You generate enough revenue and enough income where you have those choices. And that's really what it's all about. And you have to always be pushing further and conquering fear, like I personally just did. This was not comfortable for me, but I was excited about it. And I want to conquer that fear.
But here, let me bring up a point. You know and you trust me, and that I said this is something good. We're going to go do it. It's safe, right? Everything's going to be great. You're going to have a blast. It's going to be awesome. So you see that? I essentially enrolled Pierre in an opportunity. Okay, I enrolled Pierre in an opportunity to go have fun and do this thing. He's interested in it. I'm experienced in it, right? So can you be that for your prospects now? Can you enroll others in an opportunity because you have experience, and by your demonstration, by your confidence, by your certainty, people hear that in your voice. Pierre, I've had people who, I've offered them, here's an income opportunity, and before they even knew what the product was, they knew they were getting started. Just because this John Lavenia guy.
The energy.
That's it.
That's it.
It's not, you don't even have to say it, right? Now, if I was like, well, yeah, some people like to go do this, and I don't know. There's other things you could do, or if I was tentative or timid about it, no. But me and my bro Pierre and Ty, which unfortunately he's not able to be here at this exact moment, but we were like, yeah, let's do it. And we were thinking, we'll go in a couple of months, and they were like, hey, there's an opening in May. Let's do it, and we did it. And so we decided to do this just a couple of weeks ago. And so now, my goodness, I can't wait for the next class. But the thing is that was something where leadership is really what we're talking about here. Leadership, right? Like Pierre, he's showing me some cool stuff about things like cryptocurrency, which I'm a newbie. I don't know a whole lot about this stuff when it comes to that. Pierre knows a lot more about it. He gives me some advice. I'm going to probably take that advice, right? I mean, this is good. This is good stuff. So people know stuff, and it's that knowing this. I'll quote Wallace D. Wallace here for just a minute, okay? And I've mentioned this on this call before, okay? But this is so rich. This is so powerful. Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wallace, written in 1910. You can grab a free copy online because it's out of copyright. Just give it away for free now. But what he said is two people engaged in the same business, even in the same town, can have completely different results. One gets rich and the other remains poor. And of course the question is why? Why? He says, well, the one who gets rich does things in the certain way. And in order to do things in the certain way, you must think in the certain way. And I read this. He says the certain way like 38 times or something in the book. And I kept thinking about this, thinking, well, what does he mean by the certain way? Is it like a secret way or something? Like you got to figure it out, or it's a special way that only special people do? You see, this is some of the thoughts that can go through our heads, to think that like there's a secret or there's a mystery. Well, I got out what I consider the best self-help book ever written, which is the dictionary, and I opened up to the word certain, and I read every definition to see what is this guy talking about. And wouldn't you know it, one of the definitions for certain is the absence of doubt, certainty. I said, aha, that's the certain way. And that's why this guy in 1910 can tell me how to run my online marketing business, because it still applies. It's the way of certainty. And when you're communicating, whether we're writing an email or we're enrolling someone in some idea, okay, enrollment is not necessarily handing somebody a contract. It's, hey, where do you guys want to go tonight? Let's go to the Italian place. Great, done. That's an enrollment. That's a leadership move right there. Okay, but that comes like if it was, where do you guys want to go for dinner? I don't know, maybe this place. That's not it. But when somebody says, in fact, we're going to go get Italian tonight because the lady at the Thai food place, yeah, like we're in the middle of nowhere, Nevada right now, and the lady in the Thai food place, and the Thai food was awesome.
The best Thai food I've had.
It was
ever.
Yeah, it was spectacular. And so we was like, are there any other good restaurants around here? Yeah, there's like Denny's across the street. But she said, oh, you got to go to the place. They got the cannolis, right? So yeah, we're going to go. Without hesitation, she told us to go to this other restaurant unless we want to just eat Thai food every day. I guess we could do that. We may do that if the Italian place isn't open. But like we have no doubt in our minds right now. Yeah, she knew that this is good Italian food. Okay, so and I'm Italian, so I guess I'll be the judge of that as well. But the point is that it was something that with confidence and with certainty, someone could then attest to something like that. And again, it's not necessarily spoken.
Yeah. And that certainty. Mm-hmm. When it comes to business, when you're certain that you need to do something differently to get different results, right? That a job, if you've read Cash Flow Quadrant, you know that a job is not going to take you where you want to go financially. It's not going to allow you to live the life you want to live because you're working for someone else. And it rolls off the tongue for so many people. I work for so-and-so. I work for this company. I work for that company. But and I know with absolute certainty, I know that I must be in business, and I know with absolute certainty that we live in a digital age. Mm-hmm. We do. And that's what Digital Altitude is all about. It's allowing us to leverage technology, leverage the internet. This is the time. We live in the information age. Mm-hmm. You mentioned cryptocurrency and digital money. We live in a time right now that is, in humanity, at this time in our lives, we're seeing changes that are occurring so much more rapidly than we ever seen in the past, right? The Industrial Revolution. Now it's really the technology revolution. We're in the information age. And if you want to have a business, if you want to get out of a job and have a business and be your own boss and have the freedoms that we've been talking about here, to be able to go out and enjoy life and do the things that you're really passionate about and experience life at a whole different level, what better place to be than to have a digital business?
Yeah.
And what better place to learn to all of those skills and leverage all of the systems that are already in place than right here.
Yeah, it's beautiful. In fact,
And this community.
Yeah, this is, here's the thing, guys. The part of our pay for being entrepreneurs, which admittedly can sometimes be a lonely thing. You're just working online. You're a solopreneur kind of a thing. Obviously, you've got the coaches and the staff, DA and all that, which is wonderful. But part of your pay, and one of the things that keeps people in those jobs, is the psychic pay. It's the camaraderie. It's the social aspect of their workplace, right? Things like this. So does that mean that because now you're an entrepreneur and you make all the decisions, you are your own staff and all that? Does that mean that you no longer you don't receive that pay anymore? I hope not. I hope that's not what it means. Pierre and I just got paid. Well, we actually, financially we paid, to come, do a course and all that. But does this not bring people closer together? It does. And sometimes that'll stick people in a job right there. Yeah, the money is crap, but my goodness, these are my friends too. And then some people can't stand their coworkers, but regardless, we're social creatures, right? Ty, who's not here at the moment, I've known Ty since 2002, right? I was his first coach. Yeah. Since 2002. So we're going on, what is this, 15 years. 15 years, right? We became successful together in this industry, and here we are 15 years later, right? Now, would I want to hang out with, the miserable, people who are still punching the clock at the job I used to work? Whatever. I mean, we make our decisions, but one of the things that brings people closer together is, shared mutual affinities, right? So we like doing these things. So keep this in mind as you're going to your first event. Let's say that Peak is going to be your first event, or let's say that the upcoming the next Marketing Mastery event, or maybe you just had your first event. These are people that you will meet and you will develop camaraderie, and you will have lifelong relationships, right? I didn't know Pierre 6 months ago when I was invited to come and set up this whole training call system and to coach people. I didn't know Pierre. Now I know Pierre. He's my goodness, I trust Pierre with my life. I just trusted Pierre with my life. He was standing right next to me with a loaded weapon for 4 days. So
that's very true.
Anyway, so guys, just consider that. Consider what can you do to demonstrate and be attractive to your ideal target audience. Think about that. And then demonstrate that. When people are looking for content on the web, lifestyle stuff, Pierre, we got to post a picture or something.
We do.
Yeah, lifestyle stuff and things that demonstrate that you're having a carefree, relaxed, fun experience that is not arduous. Because like I said before, people don't refuse an opportunity because they don't want the money or something. No, they refuse an opportunity because they can't see themselves doing this arduous stuff like you've got to do. No, it can't be that. So you have
No, you mentioned something that was really important, because I suspect, and I know it was the case for me in the beginning, it's really hard, right? You're excited about what you're learning, and people will pick up on that enthusiasm, and maybe deep down you feel like, well, I just don't know enough. I mean, it's easy for you guys to be talking this way. It's easy for, you mentioned Jason Stone with Instagram, and it's like, I personally, I don't use Instagram, and I feel I would be intimidated, but something that was really profound that our good buddy Yannick Vandenbos shared with us in one of the calls is quite a few weeks ago. I think it was well over a month ago. It's a Dutch saying that is really, really profound. I want to make sure, I want to share this with you, because guys, this is so true. That and the saying is, and it translated in English is, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. And you know more about digital altitude, you know more about having an internet business and how incredibly powerful it can be, far more than most of the people that you know, if not 99% of the world. In fact, if you were to stand up on the tallest building right now in New York City and scream from the top of your lungs so that everyone can hear, hey, does anyone know about digital altitude? How many people do you think would raise their hand?
Like none.
Not very many, right? How many people know about having an internet business? Not that many.
Mm-hmm.
And so you, right now, just by being on this call and having started going through the Aspire system, you know more than 99% of the world. Just like John had shared with me that just by going through this course, by being here for these last 4 days, I know more about how to handle a handgun than 99% of the world out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, better than 90% of people who carry a gun for a living. So, but that's we're talking about standards again. We're talking about, how good is good enough. It's never good enough. Perfection, right? Now, again, that sounds maniacal, right? But when we're talking about our standards, and like what I was talking about beating the control, right? Even though our existing digital altitude funnels are very nice and people are making money, it's very nice. Okay, well, can we do it better? Better. Do it better, right? So think about this. We had this guy named Tom Edison. I don't know how many of you have heard of him. He was some wacky dude in New Jersey. He invented a thing called the light bulb and a phonograph and a bunch of other stuff. But that was like a breakthrough. And he did it like over 10,000 attempts with him and his staff that he was paying scientists to fail all day at making light bulbs. Finally, they got it. Incandescent light, right? It's a filament. You run the electricity through it. It lasts for a little while, and then it burns out. You got to replace it, right? We've been using that for a long time, okay? And then we got into other methods of producing light. There was halogen, which is hot. Oh my goodness, halogen lights, they're so hot, they take up so much energy. And then we got xenon bulbs and krypton bulbs, and we got into fluorescence and the CFL, compact fluorescent lights. Well, I don't know how many of you have changed a light bulb lately, but here in the United States anyway, you go to a store, like a hardware store, Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever, and you go shopping for light bulbs. Guess what the new standard is? LED, light emitting diode, right? CFLs are out. Oh, they got mercury in them. You got to do the recycling thing. You got to treat it like hazardous materials or whatever. Now we've got light emitting diodes, LEDs, as the standard. Thank you, by the way. I'm so glad about that. These things consume very little energy, and they last forever. And they're awesome, right? So we're pretty much done with incandescent lights, except for like nostalgia or something. We're even done with compact fluorescence. Like they're done. They had a short shelf life. Great advancement over incandescent, okay? But think about that. The standard, now what's after LED? I don't know. Right now LED is king, and I'm glad it is. Okay, so think about that. We're raising our standards. We're not being satisfied with good enough. Okay, but again, this is balanced with the pleasure and the taking of delight in the results that you're getting and knowing that you're worthy of those results and not second guessing your own worthiness. I know there's a word that gets kicked around our industry sometimes, deservability. It's actually just, that's not really a word. The real word would be worthiness. So think about your worthiness to have the lifestyle that you came here to have, right? The fact, like I said before, the fact that you've got that desire for whatever it is, whether it's golf, snowboarding, picking flowers, shooting guns in the desert, who cares? You, that's who cares. You, whatever you want to do, you've got that desire. Well, because that's what you're interested in, and you're here to have an experience. Like Pierre was saying, be, do, and have. You're here to have an experience. Pierre, you just had an experience, and now you've got that, man. You've got it in your life. And I've heard all these motivational speakers for the last 30 years that I've been studying this stuff talk about interviewing the person on their deathbed and saying, what are your regrets? Oh, I regret the things I didn't do. The things I didn't do. Not that I made a mistake. Oh, of course I made mistakes. The things that I was too scared to do or I didn't go for it. Right? So you want to go for it. Anyway, we could probably talk about this all night.
We could, but we've got Italian food waiting for us.
That's right.
We've got to head
Well,
out.
after an hour or so of calls, I got students who want to hear from me, but let's do this real quick.
I'm messaging with someone right now who's eager to go through a...
Oh, yeah, Pierre's getting his phone rung off the hook over here. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go into Q&A mode. So anybody who wants to come out here, just say hi, or any questions or comments or anything on what we're talking about, you can raise your hand If you're on the free conference call app, you can just click the raise hand button or mute button. And if you're on a phone, you can click *6. That would be the command to raise your hand. And if you'd like to come out here, say hi to me and Pierre for a little bit before we get back on the phone. I think we're probably going to have to shave and shower as well. We look like a couple of jungle rats.
I'm a little dusty.
Okay. Yeah, good thing we're not doing video tonight. I might scare students on my Skype calls. But yeah, it doesn't have to be glamorous. You just have to enjoy it. But yeah, anybody who wants to come on out here, I just see a few people in our chat roll. Yeah, Dirty Boys, got it, Mark. All right, so yeah, last call. Anybody wants to come on out? You don't have to, but you certainly could. Any questions or comments on what we were talking about here tonight? Going once, going twice, and no questions today. Go ahead and wrap up with that. Pierre, any closing comments from you?
You know what? I implore you, if you're listening right now, you want more out of life, you just go for it. Make it happen. You've got to follow the system. You've got to follow the recipe, especially with this business, because it's very systematic. It's proven. It works. And all you have to do is, just as I've put my faith and trust in John here to go out, to come out here in the middle of the desert and do what we've just been doing for these last several days. It's been exciting. It's been exhilarating. And I've conquered my fear. And you need to do the same thing when it comes to business. You really do. And you have to just trust and have faith. And your coach is going to guide you through all of the things that you need to do step by step. What Michael has laid out here is brilliant. Mm. He's condensed everything so that you can accomplish amazing results in a very short period of time. Now, I know we live in the society that we want microwave results, right? And people will go to medical school, and how long does it take to become a doctor?
Like 12 years.
12 years. And here you can be an entrepreneur in an incredibly short period of time and see incredible results in a short period of time. But don't think that you can flip a switch and be an instant millionaire in your first 30 days, right? Can you make a lot of money? Can you make money within 30 days? Absolutely you can, but you just have to do things in that certain way, just like you were saying earlier, with certainty. Know what you're going after and just be relentless. Be a machine, just like John is a machine.
Yeah, Pierre was kind of impressed with some of the stuff that he saw me doing over the last couple of days. But anyway, that's the thing, it's all by gradient, right? So we're talking about success here. We're not dealing in absolutes, right? Yes, I mentioned perfection, okay, but on a gradient, yes, like Pierre was saying, you already know more about how to succeed in home-based business online than 90% of the population.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you will occur as an expert to people if you communicate with that certainty and with that knowingness, right? You got to know. In fact, everybody definitely grab that book, Science of Getting Rich, because there's another thing that he talks about, Waddles talks about in that book, which is a thing called use value. Okay, so your value in the marketplace, obviously you get exchange, right? You get money exchanged with you based on the value you can deliver. But here's the thing: you got to know that you're valuable. You got to know it, right? You can't be like, I'm just here to make money and all that. No, you got to know that you're valuable. So the more you can do to validate your own worthiness and your own value and how you occur in the marketplace, the more others will see it as well. It's powerful stuff. Pierre, thank you for all you do. Thank you for sharing with our guests tonight. We'll see everybody on our wake-up call tomorrow. What day is tomorrow? Tuesday. Yes, with our buddy Joel Strait, who's always a treat. So we'll see everybody then. Guys, have a great day, great night wherever you are, and bye for now.